I think he came back to the 600 wanting to just absolutely smash them.
Yeah.
I'm happy that he did it. I think it was great for racing. I hope it's the last time. He can win, and he has carried that car on his back. We lived off of Delano's credit cards for like 6 months. Wonder what the draft's like off the back of a wiener. Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by NASCAR on Fox. I'm Kevin Harvick. She's Kaitlyn Vincie. Mamba Smith is back.
He's dressed like a normal human today.
You are. I like this.
That.
Well, I gotta keep you guys
Are you
on
growing
your toes. Am I growing up?
Yeah.
Wiser, not up, you know?
Yo, you're definitely not growing up.
Yeah, no.
Kevin was giving therapy sessions earlier today in the makeup room and informing Mamba that like the cool factor eventually fades.
Yeah, when do you grow out of that?
This is more of his adulting
What age?
version here.
You know what's funny?
I've seen a noticeable change in just things that are happening.
You know what's crazy is like if you don't try to be cool and you were just born cool, it never goes away.
He's saying that's him.
I don't know.
I'm not saying it's me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're implying.
Hey, if you're hearing it, people are saying it.
Well, welcome in, guys. To
You're the only one I hear say it.
Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour. Make sure, closers, you subscribe on YouTube wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a review, leave 5 stars as well, and follow us on the socials, right?
Harvick Happy Pod on all the socials, YouTube, Twitter. I guess it's X now, right?
Yeah.
It is
Instagram.
X. It's been X for a while.
I know it's always going to be Twitter in my brain.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at. Holla at us.
That's where we're at. And the greatest day in racing has come to a conclusion over the weekend. Big event for the motorsports community.
I love it.
It was
hard
great.
on my back.
It's hard on your back?
Very hard on my back.
Been
do you
in the lounge chair watching it all.
I laid on the couch all day.
From 9 a.m. to
I'm proud of you, though. You need to just lay down every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
You've been very busy.
Bought a jet ski. Went out, took
Bought
the
a jet ski.
Bought a jet ski. Went out on the lake.
Wait,
I thought he said he bought a jet. I was like, oh.
He was talking about the cool factor running out, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just bought a jet ski.
What's wrong with that?
I have to take my kids out to do something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like a midlife
You
crisis
should hear them back
situation?
there. They think it's the greatest thing
I
ever.
bet. That's fun.
Those things haul ass too.
They really
I had
do.
no idea. I've never owned a jet ski.
Is it a three? Is it a 3-person one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those.
Yeah.
Don't let them drive it by themselves.
Yeah. Oh, I wrecked
Well, they're
one
not
of
old
those
enough to drive
once.
them anyway. You wrecked? That's not shocking to me.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
The rope got stuck in the prop. It was also Chad
Did that?
Canales, so this was a bad look for
Yeah.
me.
What were you towing?
Well, I wasn't towing anything. I don't know why the rope was dangling.
Okay.
Maybe you
It's a
lost
collection of
what you were
errors.
towing. Maybe fell off and you forgot.
This was many, many moons
Oh, okay.
ago, but that was my last experience on a jet ski.
Well, this was my first.
How is this your first? You've really never been on a jet ski at all?
I've ridden one, but I've never owned one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was this a spur of the moment decision? Like, hey, let's go buy a jet
No,
ski?
if you're going to be on the lake, you got to have
building
something
for
to
some
do.
time.
Oh, they
Yeah.
did move. Yeah, now they're on the list.
And I
on the
feel
lake,
like it's a simple step to the boat.
Let me know when the boat shows up.
Why? You don't want to ride tandem on the jet ski?
That'd
All
be
right,
cute.
you know what? Are you gonna hold on to me or am I holding on to you?
No, you're going to hold on to me.
That's
my
fine.
heavens.
Yeah, I'm Big Spoon. I like.
Will you
that
wear
better.
some of those big goggles like Dumb and Dumber?
Okay, now I'm in. Now you sold me on that. Yeah.
I would like to witness that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I'll get a little helmet.
Be cute, guys. We'll wait for that
never get
boat
back.
lake
Great
day
visual.
at the Harvick
What
household.
a start to this Memorial Day.
This is true. This is very fitting. It is Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about wieners later, the hot dog
Yeah.
version.
Yes. We're off the rails
We're
already. We talked about underwear and whatever else we talked about a couple shows ago.
The
That
people
was
listen to this
the
on the
best
audio of the podcast will never understand the look that she just gave me when she said that. I was like,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get it back on
All right.
track.
Thank
Again,
you.
today we will be recapping everything that happened at Charlotte as well as the Indy 500. We'll look ahead to Nashville, and we have your sips also.
Well, yeah, we got sips. You know what we don't have anymore though.
I know, it's sad.
We don't have a word of the week anymore because Kev's not in the booth
I know.
like that. But we do have a whole completion
Yeah.
of this year's word of the week.
Compilation.
Compilation.
What is it?
Compilation.
Compilation. That
Yeah.
one. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
I said it first.
Let's run it.
When you can push like he was able to do in practice, that just has a lot of riz to it when you look at the field wanting to be pushed. Yeah, that was definitely one of those ice in the veins, cold-blooded moments right there from the driver to not overreact. It's definitely been quite the metamorphosis, for this 11 car from where he was 20 laps ago. It's been quite the vicissitude for Kyle Larson. He won that stage, got a speeding penalty. Typically, Clint is our lead rapscallion up here in the booth. So, well, and we see Kyle Larson right here, and indubitably, he's the best guy up against the fence. Well, you definitely don't want to be all hat, no cattle in this type of situation. Well, Clint, we saw shenanigans on the pre-race with you, my friend, making fun of me. I'm still blown away by the reciprocity from the 19 team of Chase Briscoe. And it looks like Chase Elliott right there rubbing up against the wall down the back straightaway. He's got that thing high, wide, and handsome up there down the back straightaway in that fourth lane. Those cars 3 wide, and some of those guys are putting it on the top and letting the big dog eat. Well, that guy right there, he's been bussing all day. It's fun to watch him drive this racetrack.
I'm not sure which one I like the most, but I do like
words.
when you said rapscallion, I liked Mike Joy's reaction the most, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mike helped me a lot. I think for me, I like the all hat, no cattle.
I wrote that down too.
Yeah.
All hat, no cattle.
I think it's just, it was very fitting. It made a lot of sense in Texas and the way that it all played out with the horns down.
Oh, yeah.
Blown engine and all the things that happened. It just seemed really fitting because of the way that things played out.
Yes, it was woven very well into the story.
Listen to her.
I thought. And Rapscallion was also P2 for me.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rapscallions, Ross Chastain,
the
big Rapscallion, right out of the Coca-Cola 600. This team needed it. You mentioned this earlier to us that he had been kind of critical of their cars.
Well, think about what's happened since he was vocal about what was happening with their cars, how he felt inside the car. Crashes in practice this week, blew a left rear tire. They go back to the shop, work all night, come back from last place and win this race, put himself in position late in the race. And when you go back to those comments and the things that Ross said, that's very uncharacteristic of what he has done in the past. But I think that's a huge step in order to be the lead driver of an organization. And all the great organizations have a leader. And we've talked about it on here before. Jimmy Johnson struggled when Jeff Gordon retired. We look at Penske, it's Joey Logano. And, I think back to just so many situations where each team has that leader that is able to help the team figure out where they need to go when things are not going good. Mm-hmm. So I really feel like that moment for Ross Chastain was that leadership moment that really boosted the urgency in the team to get their A driver. Ross Chastain is an A driver. He can win, and he has carried that car on his back the whole season to get decent finishes out of it and capitalized on a night when he had a great car.
Yeah.
Statement win for sure.
Yeah, no, this might be their biggest win of that company's, of the organization's, lifetime, because it's a World 600. It's, this race is attrition, and it's hard on the drivers, it's hard on the teams, a lot of pit stops, a lot of things going on. And one thing that I take away from this is when these guys have the equipment and the car is right, any one of these guys can win, almost, that in the top 25, I'd say, for sure. Like what they did, taking a car back and bringing something back to the racetrack after working all night, like, that's one of those moments where you look back on it, like, I'll never forget this in my entire career. Everyone that worked on that car overnight is going to be like, remember that time that we worked on that 600 car and came back and won? Like, they'll tell this story for the rest of their lives. It's amazing. And what he did to get by the 24 is awesome.
Well, and when you put him in position, he doesn't care who he makes mad. He doesn't care about the scenario. If he's in position, he's going to figure out he's either going to crash, most likely, crash somebody, but he's going to make it happen. And he's going to give everything that he has. We saw it at the Daytona 500 2 years ago when he was in position to win that race, and he's going to go for it. And after the race, the other thing to me, you see how much it means to him, that enthusiasm, that emotion, everything that goes with Ross Chastain speaks winner, and he will push the limits of everything he does on the racetrack. But off the racetrack, he has a work ethic like nobody else. He works and works and works and works and dedicates everything that he does to putting that car in position and have the capability to win races. And a guy like Ross has been on the other side of the fence where he's just trying to survive.
Yep.
And I think that survival mentality now kind of molded into being the leadership role of a team from the driver's perspective, puts him at levels that other people can't do because they've never struggled like he had to struggle. The guy, Chip Ganassi, said it last week. He's the guy that was driving his motorhome to the racetrack to just figure out how to get to the next step
and for other people's
Yeah, that's right.
Like he's a bulldog. Like if it's right there, if he has a chance to take that bone, he is going to, and he is going to win the race. Like you don't want to wrestle with Ross Chastain at the end of the race. And I think the thing about it, what Kevin just said, is when he was coming up and he was driving not great equipment and just trying to make it happen, like you saw that same mentality transferred over to when he got into a good car, and you don't exactly. You got to be able to harness it. It can't be like that all the time. I think now, full circle, he's had his moments, the run-ins with Hendricks and all that stuff. Now he's able to harness it, and that's what it looks like.
He's a winner.
He's a winner.
And I think that Trackhouse and that organization realized that they got to get it right for him. Yep. And in order to get it right for him, your cars have to be capable of winning. And when he put them on notice, it changed the whole direction of the team. And the difference in performance has been so noticeable since that moment. And I hope that he realizes that, because he can move the needle in making the people in his organization do things that they might not have otherwise done without him kind of kicking them in the butt.
Right.
The organization answered the call.
That's,
a big crown jewel win there for Ross Chastain and company. You referenced William Byron. Not the first time we've seen him lead 3/4 of a race and not get the victory. He led 283 laps. What'd you make of his day, though?
It's a tough spot. I've been in that spot a bunch of times. And when you are in that position, and the guys on the broadcast did a great job covering the William Byron situation. He and Denny raced throughout that race. Denny kind of made up ground, and then all of a sudden, there's a couple other cars in the mix. And so when you lead the race, you have the clean air. You're not in traffic a lot. You're not at the same level of urgency to make your car better. And then when those guys catch you, now you're almost a couple runs behind on where you need to be to keep up with the racetrack, because you're a little bit tentative to make those adjustments to your car.
Yeah, like a big swing.
Because you're out there just kicking everybody's butt.
Yeah.
And you're driving away. And he drove away and put himself in a spot all day and night to lead the race and lead those laps and win those stages. And it sucks when you're dominating a race and you get towards the end and you just don't quite have what you need. You feel like you let everybody down, but it's really hard to keep up with your car, and you're adjusting on a car that maybe isn't as good as you think it is because you have the clean air. But he did a really good job of giving himself a fighting chance. His defense was strong, and ultimately he just he couldn't hold the one off.
One thing that I was thinking about after this race is a couple weeks ago, people were pretty upset with the race in Kansas. We went there and people thought, oh, this is usually one of the best races of the year. And for a lot of people, it was a letdown. And then we come to Charlotte, and it was one of the best races I think we've had on a mile and a half in this car. I don't remember the last time we've had 3 cars fighting for a win mid-race, and they were racing hard. Like Holstevar sticking his nose in there is like, that's
They're lucky
big time
he blew up.
Yeah, he was gonna be right there with them the whole step of the way. So I think the one thing that people forget about these races is when someone hits on it or 2 guys hit on it, and then the variables that happen throughout the race, that's what makes a race good or not. Like, you don't know if the race is going to be good until you get in it and all the things start to happen. Like, if Larson doesn't hit the fence and spin out, or honestly, if he doesn't get caught by the 99, maybe he's back up towards there. Like, we just don't know, because especially in this race, it's so long. So
here's what I do know. I'm here for the first Ross Chastain Carson Hocevar battle for a win.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to finish. I
don't care if they finish or not, but I cannot wait until those two have to go head to head for a win, because it is going to be an epic moment.
Battle,
it's going to happen.
If
the one and the 77 can keep that performance up, that showdown will be worth watching.
How have you seen the maturation of him as a competitor, Carson? Because, he had some growing pains, but he seems like he's come into his own.
He reminds me a lot of Ross.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that.
And I think they're quirky in their own ways, but they're both relentless in their pursuit of trying to get to where they want to be, winning races and surviving, keeping themselves in a position to be relevant, but also contending for wins. And they're eerily similar to me.
Yeah,
it is very weird. But Hocevar in general he seems to be learning from every situation. You could see his patience, the way that they would talk on the radio and the things that they would tell him. Those are from conversations that have been had off the racetrack in meetings, and they're starting to figure out how to coach him.
Yeah.
And he's learning how to keep himself in races. Now, they had an engine failure, not of his doing. And I think that, the performance of the car is also because of the fact that he continues to run well. And I wouldn't sleep on Michael McDowell's leadership of that organization. I think that is one thing that Front Row Motorsports really had while Michael was there. Now they've been doing well with what they have, but I really believe that there is a leadership role that Michael McDowell brings to a team that people don't really notice.
Great point. Yeah.
And I think that Hocevar running so well, that balance of those two guys is pushing that team forward, and they're competitive.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways that you can construct a strong organization, right? In different sports too. Sometimes everyone is young, like a Front Row Motorsports. You got Noah Gragson, Todd Gilliland, Zane Smith. They're all young, they're all fun, they're all hungry, they've all won at almost every level that they've been at, and that works pretty well. But they've also had veteran guys around them throughout their career, but now they're kind of their own little core. And then other times, like at Spire, you got McDowell, who's a seasoned vet, knows how to finish races and get the most out of his equipment. You got someone like Carson Hocevar, who's a gunslinger, who you don't want to slow down, but you want to point him in the right direction so he can just do what he does, right? And that really helps, to Kevin's point. And when you believe in, when the vet believes in the young guy and the young guy believes in the vet, and that relationship is good, that can really help the learning curve, because they don't feel like they're competing necessarily against each other for the love of the family, right? They're working together for the love of the family.
Yeah, and I think even when you look back at qualifying, I mean, Hocevar spun out.
Yep.
And I leaned over to Keelan and I said, watch this, he's going to spin out. I knew he was going to spin out because of the fact that he's going to go for it. But that moment, now he knows what is too far. He keeps finding those too far moments, and now at a lot of these places when he goes back to those situations, it's not too far anymore. It's right on the edge.
Right.
And you see Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, a lot of these guys that Ross Chastain that go over the edge on occasion. They know where that edge is more than the other guys and are willing to keep going there and be right up against that. And it's interesting to see, because Spire in general has made some bold moves throughout the last couple years into this year, all the way to where they are. They have the financial backing, they have the support of Hendrick, and it just keeps one piece at a time getting better and better.
Yeah, Spire is starting to come into their own. You referenced Kyle Larson just a moment ago. There's a couple layers to this story, but I want to start with his quote following this weekend. He said the double, of course he's referring to the Indy 500 and Coke 600, is a tough undertaking. The window of time is too tight. Even if I didn't wreck, I don't think I would have made it here on time, and probably would have had to end that race short anyway. So I don't really think it's worth it. So
I would agree.
Yeah. All right. What do we feel about this?
I think that last year, I think the cars were a lot easier to drive. He wrecked 3 times this year in the Indy car. I think he came back to the 600 wanting to just absolutely smash them.
Yeah.
And I think he stepped over the limit a couple times and got himself in trouble, just wanting to rebound and show everybody from the Indy 500 scenario that he was the man. He's still the man. But even the guys like Kyle Larson can be affected by that confidence piece that goes with the driving, how you think, the process that you go through. And I think that last year was great. this year, you know, he had a lot of trouble with the car. A lot of guys had a lot of trouble with the car with how hard it was to drive. Tough conditions with the cool temperatures yesterday and kind of chaos on the restarts. They had a lot of trouble passing at Indy. You saw those 2 lap cars at the end of the race. The leader couldn't even pass the 2 lap cars. We heard Pato O'Ward's comments after the race and how difficult the racing was. So I think he did it. I think that at this point, you know, he just needs to focus on the NASCAR side of it. I think if he went to IndyCar and just ran the IndyCar schedule the whole time, he'd go over there and be fine. And so it's great that he can do it, but I think it took away from the NASCAR side of it this week with the circumstances. If they would have went like they did last year, I think he would have been confident. But even the best, and when the confidence gets knocked down, and you know you want to do great things, you can mentally talk yourself into doing things you shouldn't and step over that line like we're talking about with the other guys. So I'm happy that he did it. I think it was great for racing. I hope it's the last time.
Even the logistics of it is tough. You know, if you have rain, which they had both years in a row, it's like the timing and the stress of that, wondering what's the window of time that I got to be able to complete this? Like, is it worth it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I saw when Kyle landed, I happened to be standing right where he like jumped over the wall to come through, and we were already through driver introductions. We were like they were standing by the car. I think it was like national anthem. So it was tight. Like it is. It's a really tight. And he wrecked out. So he wouldn't have made it on time. He would have either had to stop that race. So when you look at that, and that's with the weather, because they got delayed a little bit, if I remember correctly.
At the very beginning, the 500 was delayed for rain, and then they kept wrecking.
So that window is just like so tight, and it's super cool. And I'm glad he got to attempt it twice. If he does it again, I think it'd be towards the end of his Cup career. But who knows what those cars will look like and if it's even worth doing it then either. But he should have, think he did it. You tried it. You showed everyone that you can drive an IndyCar and that you can do it at a high level. And he showed back up here and took the lead. So
to me, it started after the first wreck.
For sure.
And his demeanor and the things that he said and the way that he looked and just the way that all progressed with practice.
Didn't seem fun anymore.
The fun was gone.
After
the first wreck, and it never rebounded. And that's why I said last week the only goal that was possible was to finish all 1,100 miles. I don't think they were definitely not in position to win the Indy 500 in my opinion. And it's tough. And when you lose that little bit of confidence, it makes it extremely difficult.
Their car wasn't as good this year as it was last
year.
No,
like, it wasn't.
It just wasn't like they didn't have as much speed and pace as they had last year. And I think he's not gonna asking him to carry a car that he doesn't drive at all like that, or asking anyone to do that. That's probably
Scott McLaughlin spun out on a warm-up lap.
Yeah,
and he's one of the best. Period. Point blank.
And I think with the extreme difficulty that they had with those cars this year to drive, it really leaned on the experienced IndyCar guys to know, hey, I'm going to bust my ass right here. Whatever the scenario is, I don't need to downshift right here. Temperature is down. You look at the pole sitter driving into his pit stall, slid right in there, KO'd 3 guys with the cold temperature. So you see a lot. We saw a lot of errors that we typically don't see, but those cars were extremely hard to drive this year. And I think it leaned towards the experienced IndyCar guys, as we saw with Palou winning the race. He's been the dominant car. He's won 5 out of 6 races. And I think it's, it swayed way towards IndyCar experience this year, where last year the cars were much easier to drive, it seemed.
And you'll have Alex with you today,
I will.
Right?
Yeah, we've got
exciting.
the Indy 500 winner on the show this week. So it'll be interesting to listen to his experience and what he thought of the race.
Indy 500 was really neat. It was my first time going there. We know how much, Fox has
put into
tires. The event. I was selling tires. I wasn't actually selling tires, but it's a very unique event. Like, I've obviously covered motorsports for a long time, and I don't think I've seen anything quite like that.
What's one thing, if you can pick one thing, what's the one thing that stood out to you the most? I've never been, so.
So we had a police escort to get in the morning. It was a whole group of people on a bus, and it's 8:00 in the morning. All the fans are already everywhere, tailgating. camping, like just hundreds of people at all the residential areas around the racetrack. We were walking in the gate, hundreds of people already going in there. Techno stage, music blaring. Like, it was just a really neat vibe. Like, everyone just seemed happy to be there.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got to go. You definitely would have fun there.
I want to go for sure. It's hard. It's a hard turn. It's a hard turn to get up there and then back. But I want to go. You made it.
The pre-race was cool with the, what are those, the choppers, I guess, or Blackhawks?
The Blackhawks.
Blackhawks that flew with the cars
I
at the
didn't
same
watch
time.
the pre-race.
Oh, it was pretty, that was neat.
They were pretty low. They like came through the close to the crowd.
Yep.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, you can come sell tires with me next year.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Tire salesman.
Tire salesman.
Look, I can sell ice to an Eskimo, so let's do it.
I believe that. All right, so we've been talking about the Indy 500. I want to go back to the Coca-Cola 600 and give out some attaboys to Mr. AJ Allmendinger and Brad Keselowski. Our guy finally got a top
Finally.
five.
We got a top five. And the one thing that I see out of Brad now is they've had speed the last several weeks. Didn't work out at Kansas. It didn't work out at the All-Star race. But finally, he got the monkey off of his back and was able to get a top 5 finish the race. Most importantly, finish the race.
Yeah.
But still didn't qualify well.
Yeah.
And so it seems like the cars have speed. They have to get qualifying figured out in order to put themselves in a position, still 100 points from the cut line. So he's got a long ways to go from where he's at. But if you can start scoring those stage points and be able to chip away at that, I mean, I don't think it's outside the box for him to point his way in, but it's a big task if you're not finishing races. And I think with the guys that he has to leapfrog, if he just finishes races and can knock out some top 10s and maybe backside of the top 10, but they have the capability the last few weeks to put themselves in position to win, which is probably the most realistic place to be, because I feel like the way that Allmendinger is running, he's going to be in contention on the road courses.
Yeah.
He's been in contention on the ovals.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some hope there for the road course stuff. And I think SVG had a great weekend this weekend on the oval with Ross's performance and everything that they've done. I feel like they've pushed those cars forward from a performance standpoint all of a sudden. So those two guys could mix things up on a road course in getting to victory lane.
Shout out to my dog, AJ Allmendinger. But he has done the most with the least probably throughout his career. He is always like putting the team on his back, and he's like one of those guys that you want at your team because he's a fun guy to be around. He makes everyone happy, and they've been doing a lot of work over there. And honestly, since Ty has made the shift over there. Ty Norris, yeah. Since Ty Norris has made the shift over there, obviously it makes a difference because Ty knows how to make organizations better, because everywhere he goes, it seems like they get a little better and a little better. And now the 16 is running good. The 10 has run good all year with Ty Dillon. Like way better than I think anyone expected them to do. So, they deserve a lot of shout out. And I mean, they're right there in the points. I think they're like 13 out of 16th.
Yep.
And then right behind him is like Kyle Busch. And like, so that again, 15th, 16th.
And I'm going to pull it up here, but when you look at that, when you look at the points thing there, that window to me, I look at right now it's Ricky Stenhouse and Ryan Preece. They're plus 17, plus 13.
Yep.
I think those spots go away.
Yeah.
So I really look at Bubba Wallace most likely being on the bubble, and by the time this is all said and done, I think there's going to be a couple more winners. And I'm just guessing because that's really all I do.
Educated.
Yeah. And so you look at that, Bubba is plus 45 now. And I looked at that's where the bubble's going to be.
Yeah.
So you've got Bubba at 45, Briscoe 47, Alex Bowman at 66. So then it starts getting really interesting when you start getting into those names, because you've got Preece and Stenhouse, which I view those spots out, but it's Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, I think Blaney's like 100 something.
Blaney's 96.
96.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the time in the year when we start talking about points and that bubble. I love
road
this
course
point.
season is going to shake this thing up, because I expect SVG to be great at Chicago. Right? But when we go to the tracks that all the guys have been to a lot, that advantage, I think, is gonna even up a little bit.
Well, you got Mexico in there.
And Mexico, and you got Mexico.
City.
And just look, Connor Zillage is gonna be racing at some of these. Do not count him out.
And don't sleep on Suarez.
That's true. Yes, also a good road course racer. Connor Zillage, I was going to mention him, involved in an incident with Jimmy Johnson, lap 111. Jimmy saying, I made a rookie mistake. What do you think about Mr. 7-time in these this iteration of the car?
Yeah. Well, it's impossible to drive. I mean, we saw Kyle Larson do this. We saw Tyler Reddick do this. And, this was early in the race, but, you look at the traffic in front of him and just the situations that you're in with this car and how easy it is to step over the edge. Jimmy's one of those guys that always drove on the edge. And with the old car, you could drive over the edge, as we've talked about many times with Kyle Busch. And we see Kyle spin out a lot in this car as well. But they're two of those guys that drove over the edge in the old car. And you just can't. It's so easy to get over that limit all of a sudden and not do anything different.
Yeah.
And it just steps out on you and crashes. And being ahead of that is really difficult to do. So Jimmy's in a worst case scenario. More power to him for giving it a whirl. But it's still tough for me to watch.
Yeah.
7-time champion.
We want to remember him differently, right?
In this scenario. And, I know he's trying to help the team and trying to put himself in a position to learn about the cars. And it doesn't seem to really affect him. He gets in it and hopefully the feedback and things that he's gathering and the knowledge and things that he gets from the simulator helping his team. Because I view it as I'd rather him not be in it at all, personally, just because of how I envision Jimmy Johnson and what I see and raced against, what I saw and raced against as a 7-time champion. So, but obviously something's helping the team. Their cars are getting better. John Hunter Nemechek was in the mix all night. Ultimately had an issue there at the end. Eric Jones ran decent, and it's not something that we just started seeing this week.
No, they've been running well pretty much all season. Like whereas last season they were probably 25th to 30th, honestly, on a weekly basis. Like they are in the top 15, in the top 10, around the top 5. And I agree. When you watch a legend, when you watch one of the greatest to ever strap in or do anything, kind of not be there, you hate it for them because you know what your brain knows. And what your brain knows is this guy's great.
Yes.
And it's just not translating since he left and went IndyCar racing and now coming back and doing the Cup stuff. It just isn't translating for whatever reason. And these cars are different and they're hard. And even in that clip, he was in the middle, where last year he was running 30th. He was running middle of the pack in that clip. And the way the air is moving is now different than what he was getting before. And now he still only does it a couple times. So it's it's the hardest thing to do is to just come off the couch and then get back in a race car.
It's impossible.
It's impossible, he says. There you go. What is you obviously retired, I think, in your prime, but what is all the decisions that go into that? When you look at Jimmy, he even to the tail end of his Hendrick career was kind of starting to decline for a couple of seasons. It seemed like it.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I think for myself personally, I had something else to do. So I knew that I was going to be in the broadcast booth with Fox. So I knew that I was at the point where I wanted to go do something else. I knew that Keelan was 12, Piper was going to be 12, 11, 12, whatever the age was. I don't remember. 10, 11, 12. I knew that 12 was really a target date for where Dad needed to be around a lot as you go from that 12 to 18 phase of life as a young boy. Dad being around meant a lot. So there was a lot of things that went into that decision to say, okay, this is the right time. My Stewart-Haas contract was up. I had the Fox piece of it all put together to go into the booth. And so I had something to do. I think when you don't have something to do, I think Jimmy, he struggled a little bit at the end at Hendrick and then went to IndyCar and it didn't go great. I think you're searching for what you do next. When you're on the road all the time and you have this lifestyle that goes with what you do, the things you like to do, getting in the car, it's tough to just step away from it. So my step away from it plan was like 2 or 3 years. And I knew when I got to Phoenix, it was like, whew, it's done. Yeah. I got to do it my way.
I love that.
I ended how I wanted to end. We led laps in the last race, competitive, all the way to the end. So to me, it was, okay, when can I get out of the car while I'm being competitive? But I got to have, what does the next phase of life look like? And that really started in 2016, 15, having the conversations internally, having the conversations with Fox. And so I think a lot of people don't have the luxury of getting out of the car and having something else to do to take care of their time. And then it's like, well, I'll just get back in the car. Well, I'll do this. And so it's just never the same when you're not there on a week-to-week basis, racing every single week. And going through that grind like all the other guys are.
Well, one thing Jimmy is doing is helping to improve Legacy, which is a great asset, of course, for their program. Okay, so a lot happened at the Coca-Cola 600. Now we're moving on to Nashville, Tennessee.
Nash
Vegas. Yeah, that's what they call it. I know you're probably going, I'm sure.
It's not one of my races to go do, but I will be there.
You're going to Nashville.
I'm going to Nashville.
Oh, just
I'm
for
not
fun?
going. No. I'm working with the Beast. They're shutting the Beast brand is shutting down Broadway.
Oh,
so I'll be hosting the stage. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be hosting the stage. They're going to be motorcycle jumping and donuts and all types of stuff. So it's going to be really fun. I'm excited about that.
All right.
Yeah.
So he'll
great
be
place
out there.
to do that.
Yeah.
Great place to
I'm
do
not going.
It's a great time for me.
I'm not going either.
I need reasons to bust out my cowboy hat. So
yeah. Kevin's racing.
I am racing.
Tell us about
race
it.
season.
Yeah.
is officially starting.
How many races you got this season? Do you know?
12.
12. Golly.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on with it. Where are we
11,
going?
12.
Where are we going?
This week we're going to Kern. So it's the first race against Keelan.
Yep.
In Bakersfield in the Pro Late Model.
Okay.
That'll be awesome.
Okay. So if he beats you in the first race.
Just so you know, I'm fully prepared to get beat.
Okay. But if he beats you in the first one, do you feel like maybe you should just hang it up or?
No, and this is exactly like I just told him. I told him, he's like, well, I'm going to probably beat you. I said, I'm fully aware of that, but I'm here for the show and I'm here to have fun. Yeah. My result doesn't matter. Your result doesn't matter. Your result does. I have set my expectations realistically, I think, and just to go there and that's been the great part about running the late models.
Yeah.
I have no expectations. If I finish first, it's fine. If I finish last, it's fine. I'm still going to drink beer when I get done.
I'm still going to have fun.
I'm still going to have a great time.
Yeah.
We're going to put on a great event. The fans get to see something that they typically wouldn't get to see. And I have no problem if I get beat. It's not going to change. It's not going to change anything that I do.
I'm very proud of you for taking that approach.
That is good.
I've never been able to, since I raced, even then, since I raced go-karts as a kid, I have not been able to race for fun and not have the results matter. Yeah. When I raced the late model, results matter because it was do or die. If I don't have good results, I don't even have a chance to showcase what I can do at the next level. Yeah. And it was that way all the way through Cup. And then the day that I got out of the car at Phoenix, it's like, okay, what can I do to have fun now? Because my result doesn't matter anymore. It really does not matter.
I'm telling you, when I was able to transfer from like my mindset of like, I got to prove that I can drive this car to maybe be able to do the next thing to like, no, like Sunoco we are a partnership and they want to get on the car and want me to go race and want to have fun and we make content. That's fun. Like that's what racing is supposed to be about, having a good time, not all the stress, but being around the community of the fans and the people and engaging with them and they want to ask so many questions about like the NASCAR world and like being able to bring that to them. I love that.
Yeah. So it's really something that I've never been able to experience. Yeah. And just going to the racetrack and having fun and just being around the racetrack and watching them race and watching the kids learn and grow, to me is very, very, very fun. Yeah. Because that's when it was fun. Yeah. And then it became just a grind of a job. And when it became a job, I was lucky to do what I did and enjoyed what I did. And I enjoyed the challenge, but it wasn't, you were just out there just like,
Not just fun.
I'm just here.
Yeah.
I'm just here to have fun.
Yeah.
So,
That'll be good.
The result isn't going to change the direction of my life.
Yeah. KV, what are you doing this weekend?
I am going to Brazil for a wedding.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this is a big commitment. Yeah.
I would say so.
Wish me well.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a quick one. Thursday to Sunday.
If you're here next Monday, we'll be happy.
I will be.
Yes.
I want to hear all about this new experience for you of racing for fun. We look forward to hearing about that next week.
Makes sense.
Well, you guys are in charge next week of the interview.
Oh,
That's right, because Keelan's going to be here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to interview
Harvicks.
Keelan and myself.
Yeah.
Let's run it.
That's right.
I didn't know. That's what a
He told us that a while ago, but it was months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a week by week guy.
Speaking of week to week, Nashville up next. What are the challenges of that place, and what are you expecting?
Well, it's different, and with this car, with that choppiness of the concrete, it becomes difficult to keep that ragged edge feel to it and not step over that edge. So, cool racetrack, cool city, as you've said, and I think when you go to Nashville, I think we've been there 4 times with the Cup cars, so.
Yeah.
Not a lot of history, and that flatter concrete style racetrack presents different challenges than a lot of other places. Big bump in 3 and 4 that you have to navigate with those limiters and everything in the back of the car. It's still going to have that same aero sensitivity that we have everywhere else, but we've seen this groove spread around at this racetrack over the past couple of years. So it'll be a fun weekend.
Yeah, a little bit of off throttle time. That's always fun. It always shows a little different dynamic. Let's different cars because it's fast, but because you slow down so much, you have a different technique that you got to use, and everyone does it differently. This is where Logano named Paul Wolf Big Ball Paul.
That's right.
Big Ball Paul. When they had no fuel left and somehow stretched it through like 3 cautions.
Yeah.
So you never know if it's gonna be a barn burner of a race or a fuel mileage one. So that's fun, and the fans are always out there. They're hyped for this type of stuff when we come to town. So it'll be good times.
It's a good venue. Who has the most to prove this weekend after last week?
Oh, most to prove. I would probably. Well, I think everybody. You're starting to get to that point in the season where different agendas
Take place.
are taking place with every team. I think that the 6 being back on track is a huge moment, being able to finish a race, get a top 5, have had the speed for the last few weeks. I think that William Byron will be frustrated and motivated. Ross Chastain, he's been to victory lane at this track. And I think that those guys, we've seen it happen with others. Can they take that momentum of what they've been doing, getting to victory lane and take that to what would be considered Justin Marks' hometown in Nashville and produce some results there. We've seen it with Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, some of these guys that got on a roll for 2 or 3 weeks and were able to capitalize on that. But I think that that 11 car, he was in the mix, capable of being in contention to win that race last week. And they didn't get the car full of fuel, ran out of gas, had to come to pit road, didn't get the results. So, I think that those guys could be tough to beat if they continue to have the performance in their car like they had.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Chase Briscoe can do.
Yeah,
they've
top
turned
5.
a corner.
Yeah.
Top
Got
5.
top 5.
Their speed is consistent, and it seems like he's not pressing as much. He's kind of settled into his new home, so that's going good. Holsevar, he's a short track guy. This isn't a short track, but like I just said, you have some short track tendencies. Last year, Spire almost stole one from here.
Right.
So interested to see how that goes. And then, you look at like a Penske, and like I'm interested to see. People wouldn't think that the departures that they had on the IndyCar side would affect so much of the NASCAR side, but that company works together.
Everything has a trickle-down effect.
Very closely. So it'll be interesting to see how these things progress and what those cars are doing, because I felt like they had a lot of speed over this year, and it'll be interesting to see if that stays or how that morphs.
Yeah.
Well, let's just put it in perspective. They were awful
They
at
were
Charlotte.
pretty bad at Charlotte.
They were awful.
Yeah.
And that was a surprise. I think that we all thought that they were on this consistent path to having that speed. And they showed up at Charlotte and weren't even in the mix all night ever, never even a part of the conversation. So you mentioned everything that happened at Indy with the Indy cars and the departure of those people. It just makes you wonder what the trickle-down effect of that is going to be. And maybe it's just a coincidence that they ran bad at Charlotte and it all happened on the weekend when all this happened, or whatever the scenario is. But it was as bad as I've seen them run all year as a group. Usually, you might see the 22 or the 2 or somebody, the 21 wasn't good. None of those cars were good. They weren't even in the mix.
We'll have to see if Penske can regroup this weekend in Nashville and who gets it done out there in Music City, USA.
Music City,
USA. All right. It is time now for our social segment and our social sips with Mamba Smith. I love this. One of these on here is going to be very entertaining.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's that time, your favorite time of the week, Mamba's Social Sips. And we're gonna go to the short tracks. It's even shorter than a short track is Millbridge. It's right in Mooresville. I don't. It's just a little bull ring. It almost fits inside our studio here. Tate Crosby wins the cadet feature, and he dedicates it to Dale. Let's run the clip.
How tough was it to hold off all your competitors and be able to secure this victory?
I just had to win it for Dale.
Listen, that boy, his accent is going to be thick when he gets older.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome. Millbridge is such a special place for the community because it's midweek. Everyone can go out, and you will see anybody, young
starting
kids,
their careers.
Kyle Busch and Larson and Creed and Brett Moffitt, they all race out there a lot. So I love Millbridge.
Yeah, and it's fun. You never know what's going to come out of the mouth of the children when they get into victory lane and celebrate. You never know what's on a child's mind, and to hear some of the comments that you hear from victory lane or the post-race interviews is really what it's all about. So that's another good find.
Another good
Tate
find.
Understood the assignment.
Tate understood the assignment. Good luck, Tate Crosby, for the rest of your season. All right, we talked a lot Indy 500. We're gonna go back to the Indy 500. There was a different race that happened.
Very different.
With the Wienermobiles.
Oh my
It was
God.
The Weenie 500
How many of those things are there? 1, 2,
6 of them?
Music.
You know this song. This song way dates both of you.
This is way before me.
I love that somehow we had that song available.
Slawdog got the dub. I feel like it should be in black and white in like a little.
Oh my goodness.
The broadcast of this was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was
they were
very
so
entertaining.
funny. They were so entertaining.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
6 wieners.
I mean,
How long do you think it took those wieners to make a lap? Did they run a whole lap?
I think they did 2. I think they
2
did
laps.
2.
Yeah.
Because they got the draft 2 laps.
2 laps.
They got to draft in. You could see the slingshot maneuver.
Yeah, I wonder what the
win.
draft's like off the back of a wiener.
Mailbag.
It's just I don't know.
It's a valid question.
It's a valid question.
Do you think it's Buffett's or
I-
moves
you know,
around, or do you think it's streamlined?
I can't even finish it. I think.
my heavens.
I think if
good
you had a
luck
sausage, you'd probably outweigh the wiener. So anyway,
my gosh.
mailbag question this week is from Dylan Medford in Greenville, South Carolina. Kevin,
Yes.
what was
I don't need my eye drops.
what was the closest time you came to signing with another team that didn't happen? I've heard rumors about Gibbs and even Red Bull Racing.
Oh, well, the Red Bull thing actually was real. I actually went to Red Bull Racing.
Okay.
Jay Fry was it Jay Fry?
Yeah.
I think he was in charge at that time, but no, it was somebody else. But I actually went to Red Bull and went through the whole process of driving their cars and what they were going to do with the program and how it was going to work, and saw the whole thing. And it wasn't the right fit for me.
What year was this?
At that
Ish. Was it before Casey?
Well, yeah, it would have been right at the beginning.
Oh, right at the beginning
of all that.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I think it was definitely an interesting time because you knew it was a great brand.
Yeah.
you had the Toyota piece of everything that was happening at that time. So that was one. I went to Gillette and
really
walked around there with those folks, and it just none of those ever really felt better than the situation that I was in at that particular time.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was some other conversation that I probably didn't know about, but the Red Bull thing, that one went quite a ways down the road.
That one's interesting because Martin, he was supposed to drive for Red Bull. Because he was supposed to do that, and Casey was supposed to come over, and the way it just didn't quite work out. So it's interesting that they were trying when they were here the first time. They were trying to secure big names, and they first tried it the other way, right? They had Allmendinger in it, and they had Vickers, so they had maybe not as well known names, and then they tried for sure at the end. So
I'm impressed by Dylan hearing these rumors. Where do you see on page 6?
Yeah, well, the most interesting one was the very first one. So when I was driving in the truck series at that time, I guess that would have been 99. That's really when the boom happened with all of the Xfinity or the Busch Series teams at the time, and all the older drivers were cycling out, and you could just put your hand up and you could get a sponsor for anything at the time. And so there was a lot of money flying around, but everybody was looking for the next young driver. So at one point I had and I saved the voicemails for a long time on the voice recorder, but I had Joe Gibbs, Cal Wells, Richard Childress, and they were all calling at that time. So the Cal Wells scenario was when they started their team and they were going to go cup racing, and they had McDonald's as the sponsor. And so we had several conversations with Cal Wells about going to drive his car in the Cup Series and just going straight from truck to Cup. And then I went to Richards and had the interview there. And I was an Earnhardt fan and wanted to race on that team. And ultimately, that's why I went to RCR, was because I wanted to race with Dale. And so that was the final decision. But through those stories were, the Joe Gibbs piece of it, and the Cal Wells piece of it. And my dad tried so hard to talk me into going to drive that Cup car, but ultimately in the end it was the RCR piece and the Earnhardt piece as to why I went to RCR.
That decision is probably, obviously probably the biggest one of your career, because if it doesn't work on that Cup deal, people were cycling out.
Oh yeah,
pretty quick. So,
and I just bought my first house. I had just signed with the 98 truck team, and I had a 3-year deal, signed a bad deal. I was just so excited that I got an opportunity.
I get to drive a car? Yeah, I'm in.
I just signed whatever at the dinner table. That ultimately worked out to be pretty bad. Well, Richard wouldn't buy me out of my contract, and basically I needed to come up with another $200,000 to buy myself out of my contract. So I had to go take a second on my house.
Oh my.
And we lived off of Delena's credit cards for 6 months.
Dang.
And my manager, who's still with me, Fred, had to loan me the money to get through Daytona so that I could start collecting a paycheck. So I had to pay the $200,000 back, and Fred and Delena were on the hook. So
talk about fight or flight.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was, you had to make it work at that point.
Worked out in the end.
It did.
For you.
Hey, Dylan, great question.
Yeah,
Didn't
really
know
good
take us
question.
down that path. I love that. Guys, leave a voicemail at 805-317-4175. And of course, if you want your mailbag question, HarvickHappyHour4@gmail.com. That is your Mamba's social search for the week.
Good
That was
sips
pretty good this
week.
week.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Solid.
Thanks.
Solid with the wiener.
We try hard around
wiener
here.
races.
I'm still
Yeah.
curious
Wieners.
about what the draft would be like, though.
Yeah.
We'll
We'll have to get back
how
to
fast
that
were they
topic.
Oh, I don't know. They must have been going 65, 70.
60
miles an hour.
60 miles an hour.
producers.
So there was a draft coming off the back of the Wienermobile.
That's
I mean,
pretty
did you see the
quick
little
for
little
that.
lip? It had a
Because the
little
draft
curve
takes
in there.
effect at 30.
Little curve
Yeah,
in there.
that curvature has to affect something.
Curvature.
Yeah, you think that thing makes any downforce?
Up force, for
Probably
sure.
the bun.
Yeah, the bun.
It's definitely not the wiener.
If you put it in the bun the right way, it definitely makes downforce.
Okay.
Moving on to our last call.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/audio. NASCAR is not responsible for this promotion and used under license.
Guys, this has been an exciting episode. Before we get into our picks, Kevin, let's take a look at the best bet of the weekend, courtesy of DraftKings.
Well, you could have made some money this week if you would have picked Ross Chastain.
Oh, wow.
At plus
no kidding.
2,200.
Oh, my.
So our fellow DraftKings bettors could have made some serious cash this week. So hopefully somebody did. But take the checkered flag with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Harvick. That's code Harvick for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
All right, there you go. 2,200 plus 2,200.
You need a crown.
I'm going to get you a crown for that segment.
I like it.
Yeah, put that on the list of things we need to do. Okay, let's take a look at the burnout here for Mr. Ross Chastain. This one was pretty good. What'd you think?
Well, he took an extra couple laps. He took a lot of time to get to this point. I felt like seeing the emotion and everything that he had afterwards, had to gather himself and really take it all in. He took a lot of time with his celebration.
Sure did.
Pretty good burnout though. I think going down the front straightaway, doing a good solid burnout, but not spectacular.
No, but what you do get with him is the watermelon smash, and that part's always great.
Gives it a little added flair.
Yeah.
At the end. So
character.
Got a good explanation of where those watermelons came from.
He really, listen, I got to give a man credit. He really let everyone know that your watermelons are coming from Florida and you need to keep buying them.
He sure did. So what's the grade?
I'll give him a B+.
B+.
Whatever that is.
Probably
Ross Chastain.
Like 8. It's
probably
an
8.2. Yeah.
8.2.
It was good. Watermelon, a little bit of flair to it. But
the whole thing just took a little long to get to.
A little long. Took a long time.
Took a little long
Yeah.
to get to.
Yeah. Long burnout.
That's a 1.5 mile racetrack. We're trying to speed this thing up a little bit.
I don't think Amazon was really worried about the
They
pace
did
of it.
not seem to be worried at all.
They were drinking beer in the post
They
race.
They were
were.
excited. They were like, we got that one
They
done,
had all the
boys.
time in the world on the stream.
On the stream. That is true.
So the standings, you continue to lead them. Kevin's
Did
at
I-
a 61.
Am I seeing this correctly?
Yeah. I'm at 39.
Still-
Mamba 27.
Still looks like you're in last.
Yeah.
You didn't score any points this week, right?
No.
Who was your guy?
Blaney.
Blaney.
I hear someone laughing.
I hear
in my
someone
ear.
laughing, yeah.
But I think that's funny.
Looks like Kaitlyn and I got a few more points.
Yeah.
No, who'd you pick,
I
Kaitlyn?
picked Logano.
Yeah, you picked Logano.
Harvick had
Byron.
Byron. That's,
Yeah, sorry.
Well, that looked like it was going to be
That's
the guy.
actually-
So you guys gained nothing, basically.
No, we almost lost the maximum that you could lose.
Yeah. Did I get stage points? I don't get any stage points.
No, you don't get stage points.
Yeah,
But
that's unfortunate.
real quick though, Byron had a comeback in the Xfinity race. One that he really he almost maxed out his entire racing weekend with all the stage wins.
It's typically just knowledge of the sport. So I continue to dominate.
He's so humble.
We should really make this a fan competition next year.
I'm in for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
get
think
them
people would-
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Some
that
sort
idea.
of some sort of
Get a
year-long
little
competition.
Standings in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm here for that.
Okay, so Nashville is up next. Who wants to go first on their selection?
I'll let Kevin go first. I've been going first.
Isn't it?
Okay.
I'm going to go first, and then you guys are going to get mad.
No, I'm not going
Because
to
it's going to be my pick.
Kevin might, or not Kevin, Kaitlyn might get mad. She
You
gets
don't
mad.
want me to go first because
I don't want
you
you to
don't
pick
want to
my
finish
pick.
last.
No, yeah.
Because if I let you go first, you're going to finish last because we're going to have the same picks for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, that's why I don't want to go first. Go
My
ahead.
only goal is for you to finish
I
last.
know. So go ahead.
Yeah. You want to go first?
I was going to go with Chase Elliott.
Okay.
Won there in the past,
Chase Elliott.
2022. He needs a win.
He
You
does
sure
it.
you don't want to go?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay. I'll take Hamlin.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that because you mentioned him in the Nashville preview.
I feel like I got to start reaching for straws and going a little bit.
Obviously, you've been reaching for straws.
Oh,
You're
I haven't.
dead-ass
My
last.
guys have been fast and they've been wrecking. I don't know what's going on.
Your guy
Okay,
was
so what do you
super
got?
slow
No,
this week.
this week my guy was not that fast.
Yeah.
I'm going with Carson Holsabar.
I mean, I like that pick.
I kind of talked myself into it because Spire was good there last year. He's been on a heater. They coming off a blown engine off of like probably his best race of his career, honestly.
Yeah.
Things are going right.
So did you talk yourself into it while you've been sitting there?
Yeah, I think.
Or on the way over?
No, while I've been sitting here, I'm like, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as your Burt Myers pick.
No, Burt Myers pick, that was a good pick.
Yeah, it was great.
He would have won the most entertaining if he would have thrown that
You
helmet.
realize the point of the game is to score points, right?
Well, it was Bowman Gray. It was worth it.
He has a justification for all of his selections. But
100%. You can't just be willy-nilly.
Willy-nilly. No one likes that.
Can we shave your beard?
Yeah. I'm gonna shave it.
Let's shave it. Can I shave
summertime.
it?
No,
Like a straight razor?
no, not with a
Kevin
straight
will
razor.
shave it
I'll
for
let
you. Don't let him cut you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust him.
I can cut myself.
As we mentioned, your Thursday interviews with the Indy 500 winner with Alex. That's going to be very cool.
It is.
We look forward to that.
You know, I'm always interested to hear just the especially when you're not involved in something that you know is such a historic event, and just anything that might come out of the conversation will be worth the time that we get to spend with him. But I think the most important thing to remember is he just won the Indy 500 and he also just won his first oval race, and it was the Indy 500.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting.
He's absolutely just throttled him this year. So he's the man right
Good for
now.
him.
You can't ask for this is a dream season, right? Right so far. I mean, even if he doesn't win the championship, he's got 4 in the bag, and
It's almost over.
It.
He's won 5 out of 6.
I don't know how they're going to be able to keep up. To be honest,
I don't either.
Because if he's not winning, he's probably going to finish third at worst.
Well, we will look forward to hearing what he has to say to Kevin on that
a good one.
Thursday episode. And we will see all of the closers after Nashville. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, leave 5 stars. We'll see everybody after this weekend.
Get your wieners.